the vibe in the studio this week was something else.
Sup, I'm Ellie and welcome to the channel. Today, I feel like doing something Halloween themed. And anyway, when this video posts, it will be the last Sunday of October and I haven't really done anything Halloween themed this month. So that's kind of the vibe I'm feeling today.
Starting with, as always, Ground Zero, the initial sketch. And I am using a reference for this, something I've wanted to do a little more over these last 10 weeks. That said, I very seldom replicate references exactly. More often than not, I use it more as a guide. It helps me get proportions right, perspective right, those hard things like hands and feet, though even with a reference, I struggle with those. Sometimes though, it's just to be able to gauge proportions and size so that I can exaggerate. And I think this may have come up in one of my other videos, but I use it like the bones of a drawing and build on top of that.
For me, it just adds another layer of excitement and fun.
But here we are, Ground Zero complete and even outlined. Now it's about thickening those lines and doing all the fun stuff, like details. I bet you're wondering what inspired this character. Well, I wanted to do a Halloween themed drawing, and I love Halloween, even though here in South Africa it is not as largely celebrated as it is in America. Still, if there is a Halloween event to be had in our area, we're there. And I wanted to do at least one Halloween themed drawing before the month of October is over. But I also felt like doing something just slightly different. I'm all for vampires and zombies and witches and cauldrons and bats and pumpkins. And aside from doing something just slightly different, I felt like doing something far scarier. And what is scarier than what exists inside us? Okay, not all things in us, but some things though. Something that's come up recently is mind mutter and the internal voice. More importantly, where that voice comes from and how it was shaped. Because then you can identify if it is your own voice or if it's a voice that's been placed there by your environment or people in your past. And well, I have an inner critic, but it's not my voice. The idea was to draw the inner critic as a character and then destroy it. The idea, of course, is symbolic of silencing that inner critic. And that's how this guy was born. Meet Ego, the critic. I gave AI some instructions to create a reference, and this is what it came up with. You can see some of the similarities carried over into my character, but nowhere near identical. It's only loosely based on the reference. And the reference isn't random either. I prompted the AI to create the reference, which is how I create all my references these days, and I prefer it. It brings an element of personalization to the reference, as opposed to just pulling things off of Google. I remember times in which I worked from 2 or 3 different references to get my drawing just right. What's nice about the AI is that I can customize it until it is exactly the way I want it. Since I'm cross-hatching here, let's talk about why I chose to do this in ink. Yes, the obvious answer is because I'm busy doing Inktober, but the less obvious answer is that I have actually really enjoyed working with the ink. It was a little bit of a challenge getting used to drawing with ink on this paper, because I'm doing Inktober on a really low quality paper. The pens on this paper is so inky and it just glides across the page. A little scary at first, but I got used to it. And surprisingly, the pressure is off. You'd think drawing with pen that it's going to have the opposite effect. I'm nervous when I draw with graphite, never mind ink. And the idea of drawing with ink like this was scary, but in practice, not so much. I've definitely been braver and made bolder decisions when it comes to my drawings using the ink. Like I said, to my surprise. And I don't know if the vibe in the studio was different this week because things just felt easier with ink. Or did things feel easier because the vibe was different? Either way, what came from that energy, from that vibe, from that effort is amazing results. And it didn't even feel like effort. And in addition to the amazing results in my drawing, what else came from this energy this week is that one idea sparked another, and sparked another. Great things happened in the studio this week. It felt like magic.
I just had the greatest idea. Please excuse my tripod. I literally just finished the drawing and I'm so excited. But that is to draw the inner critic in both male and female versions, which represent the masculine and the feminine. But the feminine will only be done in next week's video, so keep an eye out.
Like I said, one idea led to another, and there's more coming. But this is Ego, the inner critic, complete. And I could not be happier with how this character came out.
I have an idea.
I knew I wanted to destroy the inner critic from the get-go. I just didn't know how. Whether or not I was going to physically destroy the drawing or something else. But then that great studio energy came through and made it clear. Yep. I was so happy with the result of my drawing, I didn't want to physically destroy the page. So my next thought was to create a still motion animation in which I kill off the critic with the assistance of AI. But the AI couldn't stay true to my character's face. So I stumbled across a different type of AI and found another way. And that's not all, there's much more coming.
Have you ever drawn your inner critic? If not, what would it look like? Creepy character or otherwise? Let me know in the comments.